Hey, racing fans, welcome to the ATYL live show on a Wednesday night. Good to see you all as you tune in. Of course, I'm your host, Taylor Kitchen, and joining me today is Dom Joseph. Dom, good to see you. So you're wearing your Ferrari gear, ready for F1?
I'm ready. See, I've learned nothing. We're
Yeah.
entering a new year, and I have hope for Ferrari this year. It's going to end so bad, but I'm
Yeah.
positive for now. We'll see what Australia brings us, but can't
Yeah.
wait for it.
We were just talking about it a little bit offline, just what all this season could bring, familiarizing ourselves with some faces that are a bit newer to the grid, some that have been around for a long time, some that have new contracts. There's a lot that goes into this F1 season, and
Yeah.
obviously we're going to talk all about that later in the show. Something else I'm very excited about too, and I know you're excited about as well, Dom, is NHRA is back.
Yeah.
We got the Gator Nats this weekend. I'm so excited.
Yeah. I mean, we've been waiting for this one more than we've been waiting for the
Yeah.
NASCAR season. If we're being honest, because NASCAR season off season is a little bit shorter, but NHRA makes you wait a little bit. So yeah, this is going to be just a great weekend of racing because
Yeah.
aside from INSA, everybody's back this weekend. So pumped for it.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited for. I mean, you have your whole array of your favorite motorsports series this weekend, of course, besides IMSA, like you said. But we have the NASCAR IndyCar doubleheader, which I'm stoked about with Phoenix. I think that's going to be a great show. I know, obviously, we had the IndyCar doubleheader with trucks last week in St. Pete, which we're going to talk about later in the show. But that was so fun. I
It was a
mean,
great
I
race.
was blown away. It was a great race. And then also, I mean, again, congrats to Lane Riggs for winning that one and just seeing the work that he did to, make that happen. He said he did a lot of sim work with Joey Hand. And I don't know, it was altogether a good race. Good to see some familiar faces from other racing series in that one as well. Dario Franchitti, obviously, Jimmy Hinch, as he was
Yeah.
called this weekend. So no, that was an incredible time. I hope we go back. And obviously, again, we'll talk about it a bit later in the show, but between F1 and Australia, you have NHRA at the Gator Nationals, NASCAR IndyCar at Phoenix. There is so much happening this weekend to look forward to. And I guess if you're watching Formula One late these evenings, they're late events from media and all that. So
Yeah, the good news for this year's Australian Grand Prix is because the V8 supercars are running on Saturday. We
yes.
actually, for Australia standards, we're getting a much earlier race. 11 p.m. Eastern time is
Oh, goody.
lights out, so it's a lot better than 1 a.m. So we'll take that.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, like I am somebody who's a night owl. I will stay up until like 2 a.m. and I will
Yeah,
be like, I will feel normal. So like I'm fine with it. It's cool. But even then, it's way better than it's been in the past. So
yeah,
looking
a
forward to it.
tad more manageable.
Yes. Now, later in the season with some of these times, I don't know. Like I think about MotoGP and their times. Like if you're trying
Yeah,
to watch over here,
crazy.
it is brutal. Lots of 3 a.m. races if you're going off of our time here. But
Yeah, the Chinese and Japanese Grand Prix are tough ones for
brutal.
East Coast race fans.
What I'm fortunate about is we're NASCAR fans at heart. And obviously, I'm excited that the start times this year are more consistent. We have some fun night races going on. But no, thankful to have NASCAR here. Some of the best stock car racing on earth to where we don't have to worry about those 3 a.m. days and whatnot. So, but getting on track of NASCAR, of course, we have a very special guest joining the
Yes,
show
big
this
one.
evening. Daytona 500 champ, the driver of the number 47 at Hyak Motorsports. We're going to bring in Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Hey, Ricky, good to see you.
Hello. Hello, all.
Awesome.
What's happening?
Nothing much. So glad you're here. Thank you for joining the show. I would love to ask you about, because it looked like you had so much fun the first two races in truck, how it was to race with Nice Motorsports and even to like contend for wins. Echo Park was awesome. Just tell me all about that.
Yeah, it was all brand new for me. I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, like I watched the truck races, and they're kind of chaotic, especially at Daytona. It seems like a lot of wrecks and kind of single file around the bottom, and not much going on. But I feel like this year's Daytona race was really, really good. And, Nice brought me a great race truck, and I just kind of felt it out, for a little bit there, the first stage. They weren't really too worried about stage points. Just kind of wanted to, you know, have a chance to go win at the end for the JF Electric guys. And we had a shot there. Kind of pick and choose some different lanes, maybe do things a little bit different. I had Brandon McReynolds spotting for me, which is not my normal spotter. So just trying to, sync all that together as quick as we could. And then I felt like going to Atlanta. We were a little bit more synced up. I felt like my truck was just a little bit better than it had been there at Daytona. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, Atlanta was a blast. I needed maybe a teammate there. My teammate in the 44, Perez, he was at the front when I was kind of like 12th, and then we flip-flopped, and it's like we were never at the front at the same time, to help each other, kind of like Kyle and Carson, and then even John Hunter, Stuart Friesen. So I kind of got left to hang to dry out there on the bottom. I felt like we were gonna the 7 to the line. Ben Rhodes jumped to the top, but I had a blast. This is a great group to work with, and looking forward. We're working on some more races, for the rest of this year, but definitely a lot of fun. And I heard y'all mention St. Pete. I think a huge kudos to the whole truck field. Daytona was a great race. It was a great race. St. Pete had all the makings that it could have been a disaster with not a lot of practice, no qualifying. And I felt like they raced amazing the whole race. So I think those guys are doing a great job putting on some good races.
I mean, you mentioned St. Pete, obviously having, watched that and seeing the product that truck put on. Is that one, if we are able to go back next year, is that one that you would circle to want to try?
It looks really fun. The course layout. I mean, I've watched IndyCar races there, but really, when I watch races, I don't really pay attention to the racetrack because I'm just watching. We're never going to go there, and then now the trucks are going there, so I should pay attention to some of the racetracks a little bit, but paying attention to it a lot more. With St. Pete in the trucks, definitely was a unique racetrack and tight sections, but it seemed like it flowed really well. And guys that had good long run pace were able to drive to the front and pass a lot of cars. And I thought the guy that Landon Lewis that jumped in the 45, I think thought he did an amazing job there. His first start in the trucks. So it looked really fun. I would definitely do it, but I mean, I hope I'm busy that weekend, with my cup stuff.
For sure.
But if Cup wants to go there, sure.
100%. No, I think it'd be interesting to see Cup go there. I don't know how that would work out ultimately, but definitely think it could be fun. I mean, you talked about Landon Lewis and how well he did. It kind of led into my next question, talking about some guys that are coming through the ranks at like the truck series level. I don't know how often you're watching like truck and how often you're watching O'Reilly, but are there some drivers that are currently kind of coming through the ranks that you've kind of had your eye on that you've been impressed by?
Yeah, I mean, I think you mentioned Lane Riggs. I think he's done a lot of great things. Fairly early on in his career. In trucks, and it seems like this year is continuing to build off of what he built on last year. I think Landon Lewis is a great kid that obviously a standout late model guy that it was really cool for me because I was in the niche truck. He's in the shop. He's at the racetrack. He almost feels like he's a crew guy, just soaking in everything he can. Coming to me, asking me questions about how the truck drove at Daytona. What are lines for qualifying? Because he's never qualified a truck at Daytona or Atlanta. So, just asking little questions and really engaged. And then, teammate Andres Perez, I think he doing a lot, and kind of got bounced around there, not letting any of that kind of waver. Seems like he has a lot of speed. Let's say Gio Ruggiero. He's in a different camp, obviously, but he seems to be It seems like to me he's gonna win some races this year as well. So that's all I've really got to race with and around in the trucks. So I think. And then you go to the O'Reilly series, and I mean, there's always a handful of guys that you're like, oh, that guy's it this year. And I think it's tough. Junior motorsports cars have always just been really dominant. So I think if you look outside of them. I think Jesse Love obviously looks really good. I think hopefully kind of see Sam Sheldon kind of get a little more consistent. It's cool to see Sheldon finally get a win. And, just there's so many guys that can series, given the day. Seems like maybe, some cars, again, we're not too terribly far into the season. I think after, the next couple weeks, you're going to kind of see which cars and teams have all the speed. But it's been kind of wide open so far.
And then just bouncing around a little bit to talking about Circuit of the Americas, something that piqued my interest. I didn't know this about you, that you don't wear a cool suit. Is that correct?
That is correct. I've never tried one. Larson tells me that I need to. He said it's amazing. But I don't know. I think I grew up in Mississippi. I love the heat. Always grew up, outside in the humidity. And, then I work out. I train really hard. No air condition, do saunas, cold plunges, hydrate a lot. So I've always felt really good in the race car. And again, I mean, the more often I see the cool suits failing, more often than I feel like they work. So, it kind of deters me from using it, because I do know that if it goes bad, it's probably really bad. And again, I haven't experienced that, but from the looks of the drivers when they get out, it looks really bad if it goes bad. So I do know what hot cars are like without it, and I choose to just roll with that.
You can
100%.
just admit it. You're tough as nails.
Yeah.
That's
I
why.
don't know. I don't know. Like I have a drink system, Fluid Logic, in my car, and I can drink at any moment that I'm racing. So like going down the front stretch at Coda, I was drinking every single lap, and so I've got that versus I know some guys have both, but I feel like you kind of need one or the other. So your car's not super heavy in spots that your team doesn't want it to be heavy in, with extra stuff. So staying hydrated, drinking water, I feel like cools you off enough. I don't know if as nails. I mean, I like to think I am, but it's again, I think it's all of kind of what your mind thinks, and kind of how you prep and train for it.
100%. Now, we started the year with back-to-back super speedways and then a road course. Now we're getting into the meat and bones of it, of back-to-back ovals, Phoenix, Las Vegas. Is this kind of where your team says the season begins here? How do you guys approach going into Phoenix race weekend, almost as if this is where we kind of set the tone for what everybody has?
Yes and no. I mean, I think a team like us, we know that we can score a lot of points in those first two races. So Atlanta kind of bummed us out. We had a few issues on our car that, caused us to keep having to come back in the pits and, give up some track position, and then, kind of marching our way back through the field and get caught in a wreck. So, we felt like the starting position we had at Atlanta, we would be able to get some stage points in that first stage. Again, had some issues that took us out of contention for that. So, kind of working our way back forward, getting a wreck, and then so you end up with 1 point out of Atlanta, which was a big hit for our race team, because we know that normally those are the racetracks that we can score a lot of points on. Knowing that going to Coda is not technically our best racetrack. And so you got to take advantage of the racetracks, that your team and you are good at. And so, I don't mind starting off with back-to-back super speedway races. You're going to have to run them at some point, whether you run them now and the 10th race, or, back-to-back. But I think a lot of people can, read too much into the season, obviously, right after Coda. But we haven't had any, if you want to say, normal racetrack. So I think going into Phoenix this weekend will be a really good gauge to kind of see, where people, gain speed, who gained, who lost, relative to, the last race of the year. We were just there not too terribly long ago. So that'll be an interesting kind of, practice session, qualifying session, and race to kind of see, who has what when it comes to kind of short, flatter tracks. And yeah, right into Vegas, kind of the meat of, what you need to be good at, with Vegas, Darlington, Bristol, Martinsville, and all those places coming. So I think I'm interested to kind of see where we stack up after Vegas, and Phoenix, and go from there. See what we need to work on. I think we got a really good direction at the end of last year for some on a half racetracks, and definitely at Phoenix. We were running out the top 10. Had a couple bad pit stops there towards the end of the race, but I was really happy with my race car. That was one of the better qualifying efforts we had as well at the end of the season. And the way we look at it is everybody brings their best stuff to the championship race, no matter what. And we were able to kind of take a step forward. So very excited to get out there and see what we got. But yeah, I guess you could say the season, kind of starts now, even though they've been giving points for 3 weeks.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, you mentioned just how you guys kind of have more kind of going into Phoenix. You mentioned how you had a good qualifying effort. I know in the past you had mentioned, especially last year, that qualifying was something that was kind of an issue for the team. It couldn't either figure out the setup, couldn't figure out. So during the off season, is that something that you guys have worked on? And is that something that you feel more confident about kind of going into this year around kind of getting the races off to a good start?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it starts with, just a really good baseline on practice, because we got 20 minutes of practice and then you got 10 minutes to make an adjustment, to get ready for qualifying. So, coming off the truck, using your tools, your sim tools, if you get simulator time, we don't get a ton of simulator time. Sometimes the simulator will lead us down kind of the wrong road. We had a setup at for the road courses last year where we felt pretty competitive. Not going to battle for wins, but I felt like top 15 speed for us. And then we went to the simulator, made some adjustments, and couldn't get that stuff back out of the race car, after that practice session. So, things like that are important. We fired off the truck in Phoenix last year. Felt like I had a good balance in practice, and that transferred over to qualifying. So yeah, we just mainly looked at what we feel like gave us a good car at Phoenix, and kind of looked and deciphered between, other racetracks, kind of where we went wrong. I don't know if we learned the stuff to like do right. And like, hey, this is going to make our car faster from 2025. But I feel like we did kind of pinpoint what made us bad in 2025. So I think we can take the ceiling of our bad races and bring them up, which then again makes your average finish better, right? So, I think we learned a lot of good stuff this off season. Just kind of be interesting to see where we stack up when we actually get to the racetrack.
It's kind of like a process of elimination almost, just trying to figure out what does work, right?
Yeah, I mean, and for our team at Hyak Motorsports, we don't get a ton of testing, and we actually got to do the North Wilkesboro test this off season, and so that was a huge benefit to us. Again, some of the stuff we felt like we learned at Phoenix, we went to North Wilkesboro. We were not really good the last couple times we went there for the All Star race, and uh, felt like we got a lot more competitive, with competitive race cars that were at that test. There was one from every organization, and so I think again that gave us a little bit of hope that that stuff that we took to Phoenix, we kind of obviously had to modify it for North Wilkesboro, but we felt better. And then also having that more horsepower, having the more
100%.
horsepower Wilkesboro test, having it going to Phoenix, more tire wear. I think all those things kind of, head our direction as a benefit. I feel like we're normally really good on the long run. We're normally easy on our tires. And so I think all that plays, into the hand that we're looking for. Hopefully, I can report back that's the case after Phoenix.
100%. No, fingers crossed that is the case. You mentioned like you guys are moving in the right direction. Do you feel the changes that even NASCAR's made too with the added horsepower, with these tires that are having more tire deg, the work that Goodyear's doing? Do you feel like NASCAR is moving in the right direction at this point?
Yeah, I think everything NASCAR is doing is headed in the right direction. I think it truly feels like a good collaboration between the team drivers, the NASCAR execs. It's like in it. even on a given weekend, at Circuit of the Americas, I feel like our driver council that we have, they're doing a really good job of conveying things to NASCAR that need to be conveyed. And we started moving tire blocks around. We put an extra one there in 14 that I felt like kept dirt from getting on the racetrack, and they changed a few through the S's. And but the horsepower thing, what Goodyear is doing with our tires, that again NASCAR is pushing, we're pushing, and so I think Goodyear is doing a good job with that. And then of course we always want more horsepower. More horsepower, you'll use more brake, especially when you got less downforce, and feel like more horsepower, using more brake, less downforce, more tire fall off gives you more opportunity for different strategies. Cars that are good on the long run versus the short run creates more passing. So I think all those things are great. And again, I think NASCAR is listening to us. And then on the flip side, I feel like NASCAR is doing a good job on scheduling. Listening to the fans as well. I mean, we're going back. We know that this car is really good on mile and a halfs, and looking at mile and a halfs with good tire fall off. Obviously we got rid of Fontana, unfortunately, but that was probably the racetrack that was made for this race car. And, we go to Chicago, it's rough, it wears out tires. It should be a really good racetrack for this car. And I think everybody's excited about that. So, I like what NASCAR is doing, and, from top to bottom, really.
All right, Ricky, I'm going to brag on you a little bit here. Just bear with me here. So you came into NASCAR in the late 2000s, and obviously it was a little bit of a rocky start with Roush,
Oh.
and a lot of people counted you out. And then you came back, won back-to-back O'Reilly championships, got the Cup ride, and things were slowly moving in the right direction. But so there it is. Yeah, there's your championship. One of two.
That's the small
One of
replica.
two. Nice. But again, things kind of got a little tricky once you got into the Cup Series. People started counting you out again, and then you won Talladega. Some people, obviously, you're always going to have doubters say, well, it's Talladega. He got lucky. And then you won Daytona the same year. And then you move to what is now Hyak, and you win the Daytona 500 in 2023. It just seems like every time the chips are down against you, you respond in the grandest way possible. Does that kind of, like, I don't even know if you pay attention to it. I don't know if you use it as motivation. Does that motivate you at all? Or do you get a kick out of making that counter, winning that big race, and being like, I told you so. I told you I could do this?
I mean, all the above. Like, I came into the sport in 2008. I just ran a full season of USAC for Tony Stewart. Lived in Indianapolis, and that was my first experience with any pavement racing. Had some really good runs on the pavement, but really had no idea what I was doing. I ran a midget at Phoenix, which was insane, how fast we were going there, and ran a sprint car and a midget at Iowa. Again, my first race for Tony, I crashed two cars. I got to the shop the next week, helped them unload it, and they're like, "Hey, you drive the cars. You don't have to help work on them." I'm like, "Man, this is all I've ever done was work on cars, my sprint cars. So if I crash it, I'm going to help you fix it." And then we won the next weekend in a dirt midget. So I kind of redeemed myself. But when I got to stock car racing, I felt like I had some speed, but I just didn't know what I was doing. And it felt like, yeah, 2010. So I ran ARCA in 2008. I only ran 7 nationwide series races in 2009, so that you could still be eligible for Rookie of the Year in 2010. First half of 2010 was awful. Again, like you said, I got set out a couple races. Jack and I butted heads pretty bad a few times. I probably said some things to him that I should have been fired for. Like, we had some knockdown dragouts, but I always respected him. He always respected what I could do behind the wheel, and we obviously eventually put everything behind us, and went on to come back to win Rookie of the Year. The biggest thing in 2010 is that was when they introduced the new O'Reilly. And all 4 of those races, we were really, really fast. And so I was super excited going into 2011. we won 2 races, won the championship. And then, the following year, 2012, I think we won 6 races. We finished second like 9 times. And I think 8 of those times were to Cup guys coming down and racing. We had 5 or 6 Cup guys in every single race, back then. And so you really got to kind of measure yourself really good. And so, yeah, I had a ton of confidence going to the Cup Series in 2013. I felt like 2013, the Kansas race, we should have won. We were leading, green flag pit cycle, caution came out. But that was really the only time that I felt like, oh, we had a shot to win. We had some decent runs, qualified on the pole at the Atlanta, which was pretty sick. That was really cool. But again, like you said, it just kind of kept going downhill from there. And, I had, other drivers that had left there that were like, hey, like, you should probably go find something else. I feel like, they're still continuing the downward trajectory. But I was locked in till 2019 and I was very fortunate. I loved working with everybody there. But like you said, we were just kind of down and out. We switched our focus at Roush Fenway at the time and put a ton of focus into the super speedway program. I was never super confident on the super speedways, like in the nationwide series. I didn't like them. I didn't really know what I was doing. I just kind of hoped for a good finish. But then I like started learning a lot more throughout my cup career. And then we put a ton of emphasis on building fast super speedway cars. And that car that we won with at Talladega, we set on the pole and I think we were 2.5 tenths faster than Dell Jr. that race. Tenth and a half faster than third. It was like crazy how fast that car was. Yeah, and then so we won back to back. We won that race, and then like 8 races later, we won again. And so that got my confidence up on the super speedway stuff. But we still, were kind of down in the dumps. Every other racetrack. I mean, we'd again have good runs, but not super consistent. Yeah, and then switched over to JTG and I don't think a lot of people expected a whole lot out of the team. We had some really good runs for, a team that's building their own chassis, doesn't have a big manufacturer support. I thought when I got to Hyak that they really did a good job for the resources they had, and we continued building on that. And then, yeah, we won the Daytona 500. Then we won again in 2024. We had a shot to win the 500 again this year, and so, yeah, I mean, I love when, more, not really the fans, like I'm not doing it to prove fans wrong. I don't, if fans have their opinion, media people have their opinions, but I think it's really cool when we go run top 5 or we go run top 10. We ran second at Dover, with this next gen car. We run really good at Charlotte, and, when other cup teams come over and it's like, man, like that was impressive. I think that's what's cool to me and Mike Kelly and all the guys at Hyak is the respect from inside the garage. Knowing that we aren't, we got 35 employees, working on our race car. So I've been fortunate enough to do this for a long time. And, I've learned to not let fans get to you or, any comments. I'm well past that. So, but it is fun to see the comments after we win. It's really cool. I would love to get a win on an undrafting track, and I feel like at Hyak we can still do that. I've got races circled on the calendar, races besides speedways that I have circled that I know we can put a lot of emphasis on. And one day we're going to win one of them, and it's going to be pretty rewarding.
Is one of those races you have circled maybe Iowa, maybe for Cup? I know you have so much success there. And
we do. What's crazy is in this next gen car, it takes nothing to be really good or really bad. The first year we went to Iowa with the next gen car, we ran well, got some track positions, stayed up front, ran 4th or 5th. Went back last year and we were literally dead last. It was like the only thing that changed was the right side tire. And, it's like we get one opportunity on a weekend, we get one data point, we have no teammate. And so trying to make those adjustments for the race, we just completely missed it. And, so that's, the sport can be humbling. Like we went in there with, but I would say Bristol, Charlotte, Dover, they obviously made the All-Star race. I wouldn't mind winning the All-Star race, I guess, but one of those racetracks I felt like we run well at in Bristol. So I would say those two outside of the super speedway racing are definitely on my list to win at.
Want to focus off track for a second. Coming up at Darlington, you're going to be part of the drivers only broadcast with most of the, I guess, the Penske bunch. How excited are you for that? I know you've done it before, and it looked like it was a fun time.
I didn't know. Is it the Penske bunch, pretty much?
Yeah, it's like Cindric.
Yeah, Cindric in the pits, Logano and Blaney with Harvick in the booth.
Yeah.
So it is
okay.
Penske featuring
That makes
Stenhouse.
sense. They do a lot of stuff all the time. Yeah, no, I enjoy. I did not do it last year, but I had done it every year up until that point. I really enjoyed pit road, reporting, and then I went to the studios and did the studio for a while. Me, Brad, Chad, I believe, Canals. And we had a lot of fun, but last year I had a bunch of family in town, and I was like, man, I really need to spend time with them. The little time I had off, so
For sure.
I've been last year, but looking forward to it. I enjoy talking about racing and talking about racers and what I see going on. The pit reporting was, I don't know if like I was great at it, but it's super exciting. Like I feel like it's like your adrenaline gets up. You got to talk about, different pit stops and, keep up with what everybody's doing. It's loud. And then, then you got to do the interviews afterwards, whether it's a good one or a bad one. So it's a lot of fun.
So we know that if you stop racing someday, a long time from now, we're going to see you as a pit road reporter then.
Maybe I would go to the booth, for like a full-time gig, but yeah, I would like to race for another 8 years at least. That I feel like I still feel young. I think it'd be cool to be like Mark Martin, but I don't know if anybody's gonna, in the sport's gonna last that long anymore, or at least that long. But we'll see. I would love to get another 8 years and kind of see what the options are after that. But yeah, the sport's great. I love competing, and I love showing up with our Hyak Motorsports team and holding hands and seeing what we can do together.
Last one for you. It is the NASCAR IndyCar doubleheader this weekend. So, this is a big deal that IndyCar is coming back to Phoenix, the Oval. Is there anyone in IndyCar that you'd like to see get in a Cup car?
I like Joseph Newgarden a lot. Him and I've worked out together some. We've done American Ninja Warrior together. And so I think, I think he is, kind of your all-American kid that races, IndyCar and kills it. So, I would love to see him run. I talked to Larson when he tested Indy at Phoenix, and he said it was crazy. Just being out around there. So I am looking forward to seeing go around there. I watched some, videos from their test session there in off season, and looks crazy.
Be a good one to be a fan of.
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
But IndyCar on a short track is great. I mean, like IndyCar at Iowa, and especially the old Iowa when the tires fell off and stuff like that. That is really good racing. I know they're going to be wide open around there, so I don't know if that's always the best for them, even though I guess they can be almost wide open anywhere. But it'll be fun to watch.
Well, we are definitely looking forward to IndyCar this weekend, NASCAR this weekend. Ricky, thank you so much for joining the show. We appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, appreciate it. Ricky. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, that was Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Again, we appreciate his time. Very excited for this upcoming weekend at Phoenix. We're going to bring Adam Lucas in now to talk all about that. Maybe some details as well from this past weekend. Oh, y'all are ready for Formula One. Man.
Oh, we are ready to lose all of our sleep this weekend.
My goodness. Yeah, I was going to say, Adam, you weren't here when I think we initially talked about it, but we have late nights ahead of us.
we have a couple weeks worth of late nights ahead of us.
Yes. My goodness. Yeah.
Also, can I give a shout out to Ricky?
Oh, yeah.
What a guy. Yeah. Like, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
whole lot of respect for what he's gone through and where he is right now in his career. That's really cool. Just really cool to see him, being successful with a single car operation in the Cup Series. Like we said, that's like unheard of nowadays, but like they're making it happen, and there is success on the track and proof in the pudding to see it. So shout out Hyak Motorsports, shout out Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Definitely be looking more into your racing craft.
Yeah, I mean, he mentioned that they have a single data point to work off of. So if they try to make some changes, I mean, they have to basically try again the next year. Like he mentioned with Iowa, they were great year 1, year 2, totally missed the mark. But no, so much respect for him and his career. And it's always fun to talk with him because he's so insightful. You could ask him maybe the simplest question, and he will give you such an in-depth, really thought out answer. That's just who he is. So I really appreciate his time for sure. I did want to talk about some news. I guess we really did go over Circuit of the Americas and St. Pete a little bit in depth. So I want to move on from that to some news that dropped a few hours before this stream as we're doing this live here. Cletus McFarland cleared to race in the O'Reilly series for Richard Childress Racing in the number 33. Right now they're slated for 3 races. He will make his debut at Rockingham. Thoughts, Adam?
I'm excited that I get to see him run not only at Rockingham but Hickory in person.
This is true.
So this is just adding more to the pressure for me to perform personally. But I think it's good for catching new fans and kind of showing off our sport to another audience that might not regularly watch our sport. So
He's back. You're good. Keep
I'm
going.
back.
You're here. You're fine.
Sorry.
It's okay.
It all glitched out on me, went blank. Here we are. I'm excited. At first, I was not entirely thrilled just by thinking that, wow, this could be a total boondoggle. It could be a total failure. But the more I thought about it and processed it, it's the potential for the benefits of it are far more greater than what possibly could go wrong. So, hey, give it a shot. Let's go, Cletus. Be like Biff.
Dom, thoughts?
It's amazing what sponsorship money can do for you.
Ooh, polar opposites. All right. We love this though. So is it for you? Is it the perspective of, do you think he's moved up too quickly? Do you not feel like he's ready? What's the holdup on your end besides the pay to play?
His first career truck start, he DNF'd after 5 laps. So, and my first thought is, what up and coming drivers don't get this opportunity because they didn't have the sponsorship backing that he brings. And there's guys that are winning late model races, that are winning dirt races, that are getting passed up on just because they don't have the capital.
No,
that's where
I totally get that. I mean,
if he would have finished or at least run half of the truck race, my thought would be different. But he's got a couple of ARCA starts, 1 truck start that ended before basically even started. And now he's got a multi-year deal for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. So yeah, that's where I come from.
Multi-race deal for O'Reilly. Like you said, 5 ARCA starts, 5 laps ran at Daytona, wrecked out of that. He also did a test for truck at Rockingham, wrecked in that test. Obviously, the track that he's going to be making his debut at for O'Reilly is Rockingham. And Rockingham, Adam, as we know, being there last year for some of the races, it's a treacherous track. It's not easy. It's deceiving. I mean, these cars surprisingly get so loose, more than you would think at this track. It's you see just the most random things happen there. So it's intriguing.
It's an old school track where you have to have a veteran driver mentality going into it. It's going to be difficult for him. If I'm him going into it, I just want to finish the race. Yeah. I'm not racing for points. I'm not racing for top 10s, top 5s. I'm not going for the win. I just need to log laps. I need to gain respect of the veterans, the full-time drivers, don't rub fenders with them and ruin someone who is actually points racing. Emphasis
Correct.
on the whole points thing. We'll get into that later because I don't know if y'all have looked at the point standings. It's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
But for him, definitely, he just needs to get more repetitions, more reps. It's all about practice.
No, it's all about practice for sure. It's more reps, and I see both sides of this. I see the perspective of maybe if I'm putting myself in his shoes, where it's like I'm getting an O'Reilly opportunity. Of course, I'm going to take it. That's cool. That's chasing a dream. That's what I want. So I don't fault him for taking the opportunity if NASCAR themselves deemed that he was safe enough, and that's where we have to trust NASCAR, and even too safe enough, has the funding, has the eyes. It's where I see Dom's point and where I struggle is there's other drivers that have maybe made some more starts in the ARCA atmosphere and the truck atmosphere and maybe haven't been cleared or struggled to get clearer funding for O'Reilly, right? So it's a case by case basis. For me, I've made my opinions a little bit more known. I would love to see the approval process be more consistent on across every single driver, regardless of social status. And by that, I mean just social media in general for the most part and or funding. But it's tough. I also think, to Dom's point, wrecked out at Daytona, it doesn't bode a lot of confidence. But what's going to be interesting is after Daytona, specifically when he had his ARCA race. I remember at Daytona, the media talked with him, and he was like, man, Daytona was a hard lesson for me. I was moving around too much. I was doing too much inside the car, and I took this ARCA race to just kind of calm down. And he came home from the ARCA race with a pretty clean race car. He was good. It was a top 10, right? Around there. I'm pretty sure for ARCA at Daytona.
I think it's top 10.
Yeah, top 10. So again, ARCA to O'Reilly. Different competition level, different difficulty level, but to me, at least, that showed where he's like, hey, I know where I messed up, or I know where I struggled, and I can learn from that. The issue is you're learning in an O'Reilly car at Rockingham with one truck start where you only ran 5 laps. It's a tough track. We're points racing at this point. Like, I don't know. It's a lot. I'm curious to see how he does, but I think he's a very self-aware person. He would have the self-awareness to know, okay, yeah, 11th, there we go. Oh, close top 10. But he has the self-awareness to know when to push, when to pull. And I would also think running an RCR equipment with how big of an opportunity that is for another driver to just be in that equipment, period, he would be more cautious. But you also never know. So definitely interesting news today. I know he's done a lot of, I say media tours, I say quote unquote. He just was on the Dale Jr. download and had some interviews there, and listened to some of it before the stream, shared some interesting perspectives, and definitely his mindset going into this about needing to learn and being mindful of, his past racing experience and or I guess lack of. But it is very interesting for sure. But yeah. So Cletus McFarland getting the opportunity in O'Reilly, starting at Rockingham. He said they had 3 races slated for now. We could see that change depending on how he does, etc. So that's the piece of news I wanted to talk about there. But it's hard to forget, or I guess realize that this weekend we have a lot of racing happening. And I feel as if because you two are wearing F1 gear, we should start by previewing the Formula One season and the race weekend ahead. And Dom, might I say, not to jinx it, I'm also feeling a bit hopeful for Ferrari because Charles Leclerc was pretty quick in Bahrain testing. So I guess diving into it, thoughts right now, at least from that perspective. I also, by the way, check out Dom's article as well. That was published today, I'm pretty sure, yesterday, somewhere in there, kind of previewing some of the F1 season from the Ferrari perspective. So I would love for you to kind of dive into that, at least because I know we have some Ferrari fans in the comments as well.
Bellissimo.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah, there was a mass gathering at the Second Church of Italy this weekend. The Tifosi will be out in big numbers because for the first time since 2022, we're going into the season with a car that showed in testing there's a chance.
Mhm.
And, 2022, which was the last time we had a major reg change, that was the end of the turbo hybrid era. Red Bull seemed faster, but Ferrari seemed more reliable. And that proved itself in the opener in Bahrain when both Red Bulls DNF'd and Ferrari went on to a 1-2 with Leclerc winning, and the whole world shouted, just like Texas Longhorn fans, Ferrari is back.
Mhm.
And then race 2 came around, and when Red Bull doesn't DNF, their car is a time machine. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and then Ferrari, as Ferrari has done the last 4 or 5 years, they just have gotten in their own way. And engine failures, horrible strategy calls. It doesn't take much to lose a race, and Ferrari has created a masterclass on that. But yeah, so 2026, we have major reg changes to the Formula One cars. I'm sure John DeRugeris with Track Limits has covered this in full detail because it's not just the cars look different. It's a car and power unit overhaul. The cars sound different, they look different, they act completely different. But coming out of testing, we learned 2 things, I think, and Adam, you can agree with me on this. We learned 2 things in testing. Ferrari looks good, and Aston Martin is on fire in the worst way possible.
My God.
That facility is burning to the ground.
They look like a 55-gallon oil drum that was just set ablaze and left out for dead.
So, yeah.
Major issues incoming, especially
for those that don't know, Aston Martin, which was formerly Racing Point Force India, had been running Mercedes AMG motors for the longest time. But this year, going into the new regs, switched to Honda. And Honda had just departed being the number 2 to the Red Bull powertrains in exchange for Ford. But obviously, look at how good Red Bull was with Honda power. When they just go to Honda and say, build us a motor and we'll take care of the rest. Look at the results you can get. 4 consecutive world titles for Max Verstappen, and 3, or was it 2? No, it's 2 constructors titles, 22 and 23. And obviously 2023's car, that might be the most dominant car in the history of Formula One next to the F2002. But
100% agree.
Taylor, if you didn't know this, in 2002, the F2002, Michael Schumacher either won or podiumed every race of the year.
Yes.
So yeah, that's that's the golden car.
I was gonna say his run of 2002 is incredible. You all know this. NASCAR is my heart. It is my bread and butter. I'm getting into Formula One now by association of working with motorsport. So I'm learning a lot. And that is something I learned 2 weeks ago when we were working on some Ferrari content. So I'm like, I'm learning things. We know this.
Yeah, the F2002 and F2004 are the 2 goated Ferraris. And I will give some love to the other race teams. The McLaren MP44, which is Prost and Ayrton Senna, 1988. Those cars were actually untouchable. And then the Mercedes W11. Just that car was not fair. Anyways, I digress. No, Ferrari has hope this year. They were fast. Charles Leclerc had the best overall lap time in all of testing, and that's 2 weeks worth of testing in Bahrain. And Lewis Hamilton was obviously not as fast, but the car was equal to him. It was just as good. And everybody is talking about the rear wing for Ferrari because it looks like a spit roast. But no, it's Mercedes had the DAS system, the dual axis steering. That was something that completely changed the game. And from there on out, they were dominant. And now here, the double diffuser for Braun GP, that was a major, major advantage that they thought of before anyone else did, and they were not touched that whole year. This could be it for Ferrari, but it's Ferrari, and I have to keep reminding myself that. It's been since 2008 that they won any world title. It was the constructors. They should have won the driver's title if Timo Glock could have kept his car on the racetrack, but here we are. But yes, yeah, Michael.
Valid.
Honestly, my favorite thing to watch on YouTube, because those races were just sleepers, go watch Michael qualify back then.
Yeah.
Because he was gapping them by half a second in sectors. Just it was glued to the racetrack. But that's not just him. That was that whole team with Ross Braun and Jean Todt. But anyways, no, Ferrari has a lot of hope. I'm rambling on. I'm sorry, Taylor. I've got a lot of hope. And I know I'm going to get hurt again. I just have to keep reminding myself that, because I don't know. We'll see. I don't know how you feel about Red Bull, Adam, but
Yeah.
God,
I'll give you my perspective
so good
on
in
what
testing.
this is what I'm expecting. I'm going to expect what I always expect from the group is we're going to say we don't know what the hell is going on with the car. We'll sandbag like hell from FP1 through FP3. We'll come out and somehow miraculously qualify. At least we'll make it to Q3, and then come race day, we're going to get points. We'll get points. If we can get both cars to get points, that's a win in itself. Obviously, we have a new second driver that will be sacrificed to Helmut Marko probably by the time we go to Silverstone in July. Yeah. That's to be determined at this point. But in all honesty, I mean, yeah, we want to win. I want to get podiums, especially for Max, to keep his interest still pegged in Formula One. However, seeing him race somewhere else would be fantastic, a different discipline. I think, he's done basically all you really can do in a Formula One career. You've won multiple championships. You've won a butt ton of races, poles, podiums, name it, you've got it. But I don't think this is it for him. Now, maybe by Silverstone in July, that might be a different tone if this car is absolute crap for him, or he's just not having fun. I would not be surprised if he were to say, hey, this is it. I'm done. I'm going to just run whatever I want to run. I'm not going to be full-time anywhere. I'm going to pick and choose where I would like to drive, or what I want to drive, and how I want to drive. But for us, truly just at least get both cars to score points, obviously aim for podiums. But yeah, I'm excited to see what Ferrari has and if it can last longer than the opening rounds. If we can make it from the Oceania/Far East section of the schedule, and you guys are still kicking butt, then hey, it's going to be a pretty good season.
Yeah, we'll have to see how big, because we've talked about this before. It's the first 3 weeks you're kind of stuck with what you have, but when upgrades show up, those free practices are very fun to watch.
and that might be happening sooner than later with the possible schedule changes with the Mid-East races. We could be starting in Europe a little earlier than expected. So I think by the end of FP1, teams are already going to be starting to cash in their tokens for upgrades.
Yeah. And I think too, one last thing, I know a lot of people are wanting to know about Cadillac. Cadillac was not near the top of the board, but they knew that going in. They know that they're in this for the long haul. So this year is really all about data collection. And Haas F1 came out of the gate swinging back in 2015 or 16 when they came into F1. So don't be surprised if they are surprisingly competitive, but they know that they are rookies in a world full of multi-decade veterans like Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull, McLaren. So they know that they are outnumbered in terms of resources and that notebook. But I think down the line, they're going to get a lot better, especially when upgrades come around. I think they will get better, but they are at least realistic of, you know, let's just get through these races with what we have. Let's bring the cars home. And if we get points, that's amazing.
And they have two of the best seasoned veteran drivers to do it.
100%.
Yes.
Finnish cousin Valtteri, he'll do what he has to do. But yeah, I think realistically, if they can complete Grand Prix weekends, not just the race and not just practice, if they can actually go through a complete weekend with no failures or catastrophic screw ups, I think those will be their victories. Like, points aren't even on their table this season.
Right.
It's just build that data book, keep going with upgrades, consistency, just keep building that book. I'd say by probably next season, they'll have at least some form of competition formed.
The thing that I'm keeping in mind too is that doesn't Bottas have a 5-place penalty on the grid?
He does
have a penalty coming into the year.
Yeah.
And
what a way to start.
with expectations for qualifying being, hey, we just want to qualify. If we start 22nd and we take a 5-place grid penalty, we're still starting 22nd. So, I mean, hey, it's a catch-22, honestly.
Yeah.
No, I think they'll I think they'll qualify ahead of Aston, but then they'll start behind Aston.
Yeah,
and then they'll pass Aston on lap 1.
I feel bad. I do feel a little bad for Aston Martin, but I also don't, just because of knowing.
I feel bad for Fernando.
Owner
He can't catch a break.
Yeah, it's bound to happen.
My goodness. And Adam mentioned, of course, races potentially getting canceled in the Middle East due to conflicts over there. We don't cover a whole lot of WEC on this channel, but in case you missed it, the World Endurance Championship WEC, they postponed their season opener due to rising tensions over there. Obviously, Formula One hasn't made any concrete statements about what their plans are. The only statements that have been made by the series are we're monitoring the situation. So obviously something that we will keep you up to date with, though, on ATYL Media regarding maybe potential schedule changes and things like that. But you guys, we were talking about Michael Schumacher. I want to talk about Mick Schumacher for a second. Obviously, I don't want to go back too much, but unfortunately, St. Pete, his first race of his IndyCar debut, it was like lap 1. Yeah, ended before it started. And then he doesn't really have any oval experience. Never going to Phoenix.
Watch him win it.
Watch him win it. You know, hey, you all say don't drink the Ferrari Kool-Aid, okay? Maybe you were going to be Mick Schumacher super fans over here. We're going to watch him win Phoenix. It's going to be great. We're going to win. This year, I feel better about Ferrari winning. I do. There was a lot of I just remember last year covering the few races that it was just depressing. Some of the photos that come out of those depressing moments were also crazy. Like, what was the race where Charles, he was on the hill just looking depressed? Do you know what that one was?
Oh, that was Zandvoort.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I got taken out by Kimi Antonelli. God. I see you looking at him. Don't even go there.
I plead the fifth.
Taylor, I'm going to pull a dropout quote here. Get in the comments.
Oh, man. Now, I do want to ask you two another Formula One related question, because we did get this in the comments.
Name all the world champions? Okay. Sorry.
Oh, see,
I mean,
so before the show, we know Dom can do this. He's the encyclopedia. He will be able to. And before the show, we jested that maybe I could, at the end of this year, name all of the world champions by year. I don't think that's possible. My memory is the size of like a walnut. Can't remember a lot. But
how many of this year's drivers can you name? And
unfortunately, not as many as I would like to admit.
Don't feel bad if you can't name them all. We're just all going to judge you.
We are new to Formula One, but we are learning with the help of the lovely crew here. And shameless plug to our programming at ATYL Media with the help of Laurel and John at Track Limits. So make sure to check out episodes of Track Limits. They've already covered the season extensively. They just did like a tier list video that was super fun, and they posted that earlier this week. So be on the lookout for that. Stay tuned. Again, follow that if you guys like Formula One, or if you want to get into Formula One. What I love about Track Limits, because we all come from like almost like a NASCAR background first, so we make the shows really approachable, digestible, but also very analytical. John is so good with the analytical side of the sport, the mechanics of these cars. Like he's been so, like Dom, you mentioned earlier, he's so invested in learning these regulations and things. So whether you're new to Formula One, you're a longtime fan, you'll love Track Limits. You also love Card Gorilla, by the way. You're going to absolutely love Card Gorilla, you guys. For all of your trading card needs. Oh, hello. For all of your trading card needs, make sure to check out Card Gorilla, formerly NASCAR.shop. Run by Dan. Same great cards, same great display cases, live breaks. I love joining the live breaks when I can. Definitely make sure to get your spots. They do them twice a week now because y'all love them so much. We've had to up the amount that we do. But for all things trading cards, get them nowhere else but from NASCAR.shop. And of course, if you use the promo code ATYL, you'll get a discount at checkout, which is pretty cool. So again, Card Gorilla, make sure to go check that out. Link in the description of this video. Again, thanks to Dan and Card Gorilla for partnering with us for this episode. I know I got to get some more.
In the chat.
No. Woohoo, let's go. Yeah. Yeah, Card Gorilla. You heard Card Gorilla. You had to join in. He heard the call. Thanks, Dan, of course, for your support. We appreciate it. I've been eyeing some cards on the site. So
the gorilla was roaring.
Yeah. He's like, I heard, and I listened, and I'm here. But yeah, speaking of things that this was the question I was going to ask. Sorry, I got on a side tangent because there was things that
I
interrupted
you.
This is a perfect segue. No, you're good. I found a perfect moment for a segue to talk about Card Gorilla. And I was like, I got to use this here to talk about the wonderful cards there. But the question I wanted to ask you guys about was from this fan here. F1 fans, what's the best race of the year to watch? Not a fan myself, but I know which ones I don't like watching. I can tell you that, but Monaco. I do. God, Monaco is so boring. It is so boring.
Listen, Monaco qualifying goes so hard. But the race is terrible. So Control Alt Dylan. That's a spectacular handle, by the way.
Yeah. Genius. That is genius.
I would highly recommend, because if you don't know, Monaco is the crown jewel of Formula One. But the track is so narrow and so tight, there is zero passing done in it. It's all done in the pits, if there is any. But tune in on Saturday for qualifying, because that's when they're trimmed out to go as fast as humanly possible in what is basically tiny city streets. It's unlike anything you'll ever see. It's so much fun. But race, Adam, I'll let you go first, because I got to think. There's a couple that are like you have to watch, like in terms of action, because like I could be the first one to say Monza because it's the Italian Grand Prix.
Of course,
as a Ferrari fan, like that is the Super Bowl.
It's the temple adjacent to Maranello, the Temple of Speed.
Yeah.
If I could, I'll start straight off. The Montreal, the Canadian Grand Prix would be like my number one to go to.
Yep.
There's always action. Whether it be on practice or qualifying day when the Groundhogs and Gophers are running for their lives, or just the action itself on track, that would definitely be a good one. Hey, if you're a little insomniac like a lot of us are going to be for the next couple of weeks, give this weekend's race a shot.
Do it.
Australia is good.
Australia with new regulations, it could be a certified hood classic. Who knows? It also could be a horrible, boring parade lap that goes on for an hour and a half. But yeah, I mean, those are always great ones. The United States Grand Prix and Austin, that's always a good one, especially qualifying with how now we say qualifying is like the best part of the weekends, but the racing itself is also good. However, the qualifying at Austin is spectacular because it's done in the evening as the sun is setting, and they have the big ass Texas state flag and the American flag just floating and majestically blowing. It's such a vibe. Another good one is Brazil. That's always on the
Interlagos
top
is
tier for
good.
me.
Interlagos has good races.
Yes. So that'd be 4 that I'd rattle off right there. But
I would say,
Yeah.
and this is technically the big one for F1 because it is all based in the UK, but Silverstone never misses.
Never does.
So that is 4th of July weekend, the British Grand Prix. That one is spectacular. You can just tell too, like in the commentator's voice and whatnot, because it is the home race for almost all of the teams, because a lot of these teams are based in the UK. A lot of them are based, like Aston Martin's a perfect example. They're
It's
in
across the street.
Silverstone. So, but like with Red Bull and Milton Keynes, McLaren and Woking, they're all so close to Silverstone. That's the home race. So they all push way hard to win that one. Austria is not bad either. Red Bull Ring, Austria, because that one's a shorter track. It's about a minute 10 second lap. That one's always really fun. I know Adam and I can go back and forth on this one. Verstappen and Leclerc would quite literally trade paint at Austria, and even Verstappen and Lando having just a all-out brawl on the racetrack and handed the win to George Russell.
Yes.
But no, Austria is really good. I believe it was Ravaging Wolverine mentioned Singapore too. Singapore's a good one, but actually Singapore for the drivers is probably their toughest race of the year because it is the hottest race of the year in their cars.
Singapore
it really
is
has taken the place of Malaysia of being just brutally hot inside the cars, and it looks a lot like what a lot of the NASCAR Cup Series drivers dealt with after COTA, where they're having to get pulled out of their cars because they are just so drained. So, but you should go watch Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes qualifying lap at Singapore. It is the very definition of car on rails, and you can go as fast as you want around the tiniest racetrack and still make speed. So those would be mine. Suzuka's a good one too. If you want to stay up at 4 a.m. for the race. Unfortunately, China and Japan, those ones are tough ones just because they start so late at night on the East Coast here. But really, I would go Silverstone as my go-to.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, well, the Monaco race isn't good, but Monza, when Leclerc won Italy twice. And that's the thing too, like when Verstappen wins the Netherlands, that's a big deal, and all the orange smoke goes up in the stands, the place goes nuts. When Ferrari wins in Italy, when Ferrari wins the Italian Grand Prix, there's a million people on the front straightaway belting the Italian national anthem with a Ferrari flag the size of the pit lane. So yeah, there's nothing like it. It's honestly like watching Liverpool win against Manchester United. The place goes berserk. The whole crowd is into it. Like, it's a very biased crowd at the Italian Grand Prix.
But it's so cool though, like to see that atmosphere. It's always fun to see when a driver wins a hometown race, and in F1 specifically, because the crowd they go all out. It's so fun.
Oh
yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah,
I will say my favorite track, and this is only because there's a castle there, and I thought this was like really cool.
Azerbaijan,
the Baku City Circuit.
How did we forget about Baku?
I love, because that was the first race I covered last year for motorsports. That's like the first Formula One race I watched.
That race never goes according to plan.
No.
It's so fun because it's always nutty. And like the storylines last year were so cool because Carlos Sainz got his first podium with Williams, and the whole story behind that and the unicorn that was on the helmet. Like, I loved everything about that race, from storylines to the wackiness that it was. And then of course the setting too was also really, really fun. It's such a cool weekend. Again, I'm biased, but it's always, it's a good race. I'm excited for it this year.
Unless you're Red Bull trying to bump draft like at Talladega down the front stretch.
Unless
Yes.
you're Charles Leclerc anytime at Azerbaijan.
Yes.
Oscar Piastri had a really crappy Baku race last year. That's where he just like
that opened the door for the world title.
It did.
Yeah, I think that basically that was the start of Lando's chase down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That's where storylines kind of really start. I think that's the race in the season where you kind of start to see the championship kind of unravel, or where the picture gets clearer, is where I think that fell last year in the schedule. So I'm excited for that this year. I'm excited for the entire F1 season this year. Will be my personal first time watching it from start to finish. So I'm excited about it. Y'all, you guys have watched it for years. So this is nothing to you.
You get to watch me suffer in live action.
Hey, we have hope. Hope is a strong thing.
I've had hope for the last 6 years.
Hey, lucky number 7. You never know. So
he's had hope since Kimi Räikkönen. It's been a while.
This has been a bit. But is this going to be our first NHRA season watching from start to finish?
Yes.
Yes.
Can't wait.
Okay.
Can't wait.
Who wants to start off on this? Because I know they've had some testing. Adam, you go.
Oh my God. I've been watching testing at work. That's how intense and excited I am for it. I've also been chatting with our friends Big Duke and Jordan Wick all week. We've just been going back and forth with, oh my gosh, did you see them run? They ran a 3.7 testing. Holy crap. He ran a 338. This is going to be insane. I expect us to possibly hit 350 at some point this season.
Oh, no doubt.
I don't think it's going to happen this weekend because it's going to be hot. It's going to be hot.
It'll be
really hot. But the speeds this season, we're going to be breaking records. I foresee almost every weekend at some point. Everything that Brittany set last season and Coletta also, they're going to be old news. Everything's going to get reset again. It's going to be insane for Top Fuel. Funny cars looking. It's looking everything's looking great, man. I'm on cloud 9, guys. I can't even form that's how excited I am about it. The one thing I hate though is that the television coverage is so wonky. But if you have NHRA.TV, you can watch everything live.
This is true.
Yeah,
we are big supporters of NHRA.TV. And then again, just very appreciative of the support from NHRA. We love working with them. We love covering their series. Absolutely. It's been so fun. So shameless plug there. But I'm excited for Maddie Gordon in her rookie season. Yep. I'm so excited for her. I think she's going to have, fingers crossed, a really good rookie season with Ron Capps and his team. I'm also very, very intrigued by Austin Prock's move to Bob Tasca and going to the Ford camp. I am so intrigued by that. Do we have any thoughts? I mean, it's crazy because he's going from winning back-to-back championships with a team where he knows he can run it back if he wants to. He's switching sides.
This is also the guy John Force said is going to replace me on my team.
Yeah.
It's big. Very big.
I can tell you from what I've seen in testing with Proc, with the Ford, everybody buckle up. Tasca Racing is for real this season. They're going to be real. I cannot wait to see their first official run on Friday.
Yeah, the Proc family does not mess around.
They do not. They do not at all. They are all about business. This was a business decision to switch over. Give Ford a call sign to say, hey, we're ready to go fast and we want to go fast internationally. And we're starting right here where we belong in America. So I think the sky's the limit for Tasca Racing.
I think, I'm excited to see about Proc. And I know we talked about, F1, the best time to watch is qualifying. I know the finals are great, but there is something about night runs on NHRA where it's the flames out of the pipes and they just launch down this. Yeah, bro, I can't wait. Dude,
when are the 4 wides?
Every week? I would be a season ticket holder.
The 4 wides are April 24th through the 26th this year.
Oh, you better
No.
believe I'll be there.
Yes.
No.
Yes, we will be there. We will be there.
Wait. Maybe
It's
I
the
actually,
Talladega weekend.
actually think I can be there. I actually think I can.
I think, speaking of changes and updates, obviously the Queen of Speed, Brittany Force, has retired.
Yes.
And she has also said in that amazing docuseries that Vice has done, Chasing Speed, highly recommend. It was so well done.
Yes.
She is leaving the door open to coming back someday, but obviously, like, that could change any day. Part of me wants the record to be broken, and the next day, John Force Racing posts a graphic of Brittany and says, "I'm back," and she's coming out of retirement to get the records back. But no, I'm very excited for Leah Pruitt's comeback at
Yes.
PSR. I think, because a lot of people, I didn't realize this until it was actually fully explained. Like, that was Tony Stewart owns the car, but he was just keeping that car on the track for Leah.
Yes.
He was very upfront and saying, "This is Leah's car. I'm just driving it while she's getting herself prepared to come back racing after having their child, Dominic." Good name. But, I'm pumped to see Leah come back. And, Tony's moving to Nitro Motorsports. I'm excited to see how he does. John Force Racing just had a complete overhaul of their team. They're completely different from last year. Doug Kalitta's the defending champion. Sean Langdon's coming back. Antron Brown is not going to want to be behind Kalitta and JFR and TSR. He's going to go crazy. It's top. Listen, I'm very biased to Top Fuel. I love the funny cars, but the Top Fuel dragsters are just the coolest damn things.
I think the thing with this season, I mean, I feel like all the time NHRA is so underrated, but there are always good storylines. And this year, with the amount of shakeups in what we've already seen in preseason testing, like, it is bound to be a year filled with storylines, filled with records being broken. The personalities also in NHRA are so fun. I mean, personally, I'm excited too for Alexis DeJoria in her season with John Force. I cannot wait. It's going to be such a fun season. I say that. I hope it is. It typically is. But I cannot wait. I'm very excited about it. And of course, for more NHRA content from the team here at ATYL Media, make sure to check out Nitro Nation with Jordan Wick and Big Duke Monday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. They typically are going live, and they typically have guests on the show that are racing consistently in NHRA. Yeah, like Maddie Gordon, for instance.
She did a little breaking news with us, as a matter of fact, last week. Yeah.
She did.
Thank you, Maddie.
Yeah, thank you, Maddie. Yeah, getting her Top Fuel dragster license, which is really exciting. So again, Jordan and Duke do such a good job with Nitro Nation, and just the stories and what they're able to like share with us from the driver's perspective, even to with Jordan racing herself. Like, it's awesome. So make sure to check it out. If you've never given NHRA a shot and you're like, okay, sure, whatever, please actually do it. It's also beneficial for us. Like, we finally got it when we were at the track, like when we were there to have the entire experience, and NHRA really treated us to the entire experience. So I appreciate that. But
unlike anything I've ever experienced,
the ground shakes. You feel the ground shake, your bones shake. It is true speed. I know we say IndyCar is the fastest racing on earth. Sure. Yeah, fine. Cool. NHRA is. But we're very excited for that season. We're very excited for IndyCars and NASCAR season to continue this weekend at Phoenix. We're very excited for the F1 season to start this weekend in Australia. There's a lot to keep up with. So, of course, make sure that you're tuning in and checking that all out at abovetheline.com. But that's going to do it for our show tonight, the ATYL Live show. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Of course, again, make sure to go to abovetheline.com to check out all of our shows from On Tour, Below the Yellow Line, Nitro Nation, Above the Yellow Line, all of our shows for every motorsport series that you love to follow. We've got a show for it. We have great editorial as well for you all to read if you want to get more in depth with articles from our writer Chris. So make sure to check that out. Of course, again, thank you so much to Card Gorilla for partnering with us here at ATYL Media for all of your trading card needs. Again, Card Gorilla. Don't go anywhere else. You don't need to. Just go to Card Gorilla. And I think that's it from all of us here tonight. Again, special thank you to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. for joining the show earlier. If you missed him, make sure to go back and watch it. It was such a great conversation with him. Of course, as always, this was the Midwestern Goodbye. I'm actually going to leave this now, but thank you all so much for tuning in. From myself, Adam, Lucas, Dom, Joseph, have a happy race weekend, and we'll see you next time. Bye.